After I got my FUE hair transplant surgery, my hair was looking so fine and so bad because a third of my hair was shaved during that surgery, and because I already have really fine hair, hence why I got hair transplant surgery, I really felt like I had no hair. I had like 5 hairs on my head, and I didn't know what to do to get around that while I was waiting for the transplanted hair and the donor hair to grow. So I went over to my hairdresser and I got this haircut that was the most life-changing haircut ever, especially for someone that has very, very fine hair that they are struggling with. So after that, I started recommending this haircut to a lot of my fine hair clients because I felt like it was the cut that was the solution to this issue for people that had extremely, extremely fine hair. And for every single person with fine hair, when I gave them this haircut, they would tell me that they couldn't believe how flexible it was, how easy it was to style, how it even looked good when they didn't style it, when they let it air dry and had natural texture, and how much they loved it. So I wanted to share it here with you guys on YouTube. I wanted you to get an idea of something that might work really well for you if you're really struggling with very fine hair. So today I brought in my client Jen, who also has very, very fine hair. I started cutting her hair like this maybe about a year ago, and she just can't believe how much she loves it. So I wanted to cut it for you guys. I wanted to cut it in front of you so that you know what to ask for when you go see your stylist, and you'll know a few of the words or the verbiage that you can then express what you want in your cut when you are going to get it with your actual stylist. Let's go. So this haircut is a blunt chin length bob that floats above the shoulder. So as you can see, even with my haircut, it's floating. So it's not hitting my shoulder blade, it's floating just above the shoulder. Here are some things that you need to know about when you are asking for this haircut. If you are the type of person that parts your hair in different ways, you need to get this cut in the middle part, and this is why. So a blunt cut will all fall in the same line. So basically what a blunt haircut means is that there are no layers at all. Every single hair falls in the same line. So if you part in the middle, all your hair is going to fall here on this side, all your hair is going to fall here on this side. Now if you part on the side and you shift over, all of this hair is going to fall to this line. Now here's the problem if you cut your hair in a side part when it's blunt, especially a blunt bob, but really any blunt haircut. If you change your part at all, you will have overhang. And this is because, say you part over here, you go all the way over and it's sitting, there's more length here, right, than here. So all of a sudden, if you part a little bit over to one side, this hair is going to be longer. So when it comes to this side, it's going to overhang and it's going to fall longer than the baseline. This is a huge issue that I see in clients. Actually, when I go do a lot of bridal hair, I see this in blunt cuts a lot. If the person always parts their hair on the side, the stylist will cut it on the side. But if there's any variance at all in your part, you're going to have a huge overhang, and that can be quite annoying. So even if you do a side part, I really do recommend getting this haircut down the middle so that you don't have that overhang. You have a lot more flexibility with how you can style your hair. That is the first thing that you definitely need to know when requesting this haircut. Just let them know that you would really like it cut in a middle part so that you can be more flexible when you are styling your hair later. The second thing that I always do is at the very base of that neck, right in that first cut, I like doing a small undercut. So what that means is I like that whole first section to be slightly shorter than the rest of the hair. And the reason for that is I like to create a little cushion at the bottom of the base of the neck where when the rest of the hair comes over, it sits and cups that area. If I cut that hair the exact same length as all the other layers, what you might end up finding is that your hair tends to flip out at the back, and that's because the weight in the base of the neck is too heavy and it's creating like a jouting out effect. So if you undercut very slightly, just, you know, not even half an inch, like a tiny amount, and you do all the other layers slightly longer than that, it's going to cup in naturally and you're not going to fight the flip out as much. It's a huge issue with bobs. It's very, very annoying. So just ask them to cut that tiny base of the neck slightly shorter than the rest of the hair. Here's another part of this haircut that I find really important to mention. I really hate it when short bobs go from a little longer at the back to a little shorter on the sides. And this is because there's no angling of the scissors at all when you were cutting, and it's really easy to do, especially if you're a junior. So when you are getting this cut, you want to make sure that you have a slight angle forward, even if you don't want a forward angled bob. So you definitely want to tell your stylist that you want the front to be slightly longer than the back so that they have an opportunity to over direct. As a stylist, there's two ways that I typically do this. So one way is by freehanding a slight angle forward. So when I am at the back of the head, you know, when I'm at the center of the head, I'm slightly shorter than when I start to approach the sides or the front of the head. I just slightly angle my scissors. Another way to do this is to actually take your fingers, and when I am lining up the hair, I am lining it up in a straight line that is parallel to the floor, and that's over directing that side hair over to that line. So when I release it, it naturally bevels forward. So that's another really easy way to do that. When I get over to the sides of the hair, I make sure that I see that angle. I don't cut that angle off. I just drop that shorter hair at the back and I follow the longer line at the sides, just so that I have an ever so slight angle forward so that you don't end up getting that really weird kind of like lifted effect at the front than at the back. I've had my hair cut like that before, and I hate how it looks. It's not modern, it's not flattering, and it doesn't work great with fine hair either. You don't want this heavy weight line at the back and then like no hair at the front. Another thing that you could mention to your stylist if your hair is very, very fine is to not point cut. It's very tempting and it's very instinctual for a stylist to point cut blunt lines, but in this case we want the bluntness of the line, because the bluntness of the line is what gives the illusion that the hair is thick. You want that heavy floating line. That's what's going to trick people into thinking that you have really thick hair. And that brings me over to another point, and that is do not layer. Do not get this hair cut layered at all. The reason for that is because you want to create a strong baseline. A strong baseline is what's going to give the illusion of dense hair, just like I said before. So if you take this hair and you lift it up and you layer it, all of a sudden your baseline is suddenly really weak. So you want all of this top layer to hang over and meet that baseline to create that line. Now, if you have thick hair or dense hair, it's not a problem to layer. It actually looks beautiful, breaks up the line. It's even better actually than not layering. But in the case of someone that doesn't have the density in the sides, like myself or like my client Jen, if you don't have that baseline, you don't have that density at all, if you lift up the hair and layer it, you've lost your baseline. The second you've lost your baseline, you've lost your length and you've lost that illusion of dense, thick, glossy, healthy hair. After I finished those steps, I applied some volumizing products, I blew it out, and then I just applied a little bit of a bend and texture to that hair to give it even more oomph. I did an entire video on how I styled Jen's hair a few months back, so if you guys want to watch that step-by-step tutorial on how to get tons of volume and lift on really, really fine hair just by styling, then definitely click on that video, head on over there next, because you'll get some really great tips and techniques there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any more questions on this haircut, then definitely leave it in the comments section below. I love reading those comments. I'll see you next week. Bye.